And again, we are so excited to have you all joining us today. Okay, Farmer Patty, welcome. We're so excited to have you.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to go check out some footage of the farm live. So, are you ready? Do you think we're ready to go?
I think so.
Okay, students, I hope you're ready. If you feel like it, you can even drop in the question and answer where you're from or where you're joining us from. But it looks like we are starting to fly in and over the farm. Okay, where are we, Patty? What are we seeing?
Yeah, so these are our barns that house our mature female cows.
Okay.
So we have on the farm 1,400 milking cows, and 2 miles up the road at our heifer barn, we house about 1,000 heifers.
1,400 mature animals. Wow, that is a lot of cows. Now we're seeing all the cows in this barn in particular. How many would be in this barn or pen, maybe?
Yeah, so we break the barn down into a few different pens, and there's anywhere from 200 to 240, depending on kind of how many cows we have at the moment.
Got it. Got it. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, these cows are just relaxing. They seem really comfortable. How is this barn designed to keep them comfortable?
Yeah, great question. So this is called a free stall barn. And what that means is the cows are free to move around in their pen. They have access to food, water, and they're really comfortable beds 24/7. They can kind of do what they want in their pen and be free.
Got it. Okay, looks like you've got some nice big fans for airflow in there too. Ooh, now we're seeing close up to some of the cows. Now, what are we seeing? I mean, it looks like they're rocking some fashion earrings here. What are these?
Yeah, so our cows all have ear tags, and that helps us because we have so many of them. We need to be able to keep track of their health individually.
Okay.
So the yellow ear tags you see, those we put in, they associate with a computer system that we have on the farm. And the little white button is an RFID tag. And this helps us keep track. So much like you have a report card at school or a file at the doctor's, it allows us to keep track of each cow.
Got it. Okay, wow. Now they're also rocking some super cool necklaces. So, what are those that we're seeing?
Yeah, so these are really extraordinary technology. They're called SCR collars. They have two purposes on the farm. The first one is kind of like a Fitbit. So it tracks how active the cows are. So we might know what's going on with the cow if they move less or more than usual.
Oh,
And
okay.
then the second thing it does is it actually keeps track of how many times they're chewing. So cows are what we call, I know it's crazy, ruminants. And so
Okay.
what a ruminant is they have four compartments in their stomach. And I like to think it gives them superpowers, and they can turn things that we can't eat as humans into delicious milk. And in that process, they have to regurgitate their food and chew it again a couple times. So those collars track how often that happens.
Okay, so we have seen so much footage. All these cows are chewing. So is that telling us that these cows are comfortable,
Yes,
right?
it's
Okay.
telling us they're comfortable and healthy.
Okay, comfortable and healthy. So those collars are basically telling us that too. Now, are these girls at the beach? What are they laying on?
Yes, so we bed our stalls with sand. So it's nice and deep. It's very clean. We put
Wow.
fresh sand in twice a week, and we scrape out the alleys of all the poop. So it's very clean. It's very comfortable.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we can see that. Like, definitely clean and comfortable. Those cows look super comfortable. Okay, so I have some questions. So if these cows are laying in these stalls, and obviously we're seeing some have a snack here, these are some big animals. How much do these cows weigh?
Yes, so on our farm we have Holsteins, and they're the most common breed of dairy cattle, and they're one of the largest. They're about 1,500 to 1,700 pounds.
Okay, 1,500 to 1,700 pounds. Students, that's pretty big. Now, if they're 15 to 1,700 pounds, I bet they need to eat a lot of food. Okay, how much food though?
So they eat about 100 to 120 pounds every day.
Wow, I think we've seen them eating 120 pounds just in this little segment. They're eating so much. But I know for me, I couldn't get through 120 pounds of food, any kind of food a day. But what kind of food are these ladies enjoying?
Yeah, so we feed them kind of like a casserole. We take a few different ingredients and mix it together so that they don't sort out only the good tasting stuff. Most of their diet is made up of forage, which is corn silage, haylage, alfalfa. And then we add in grain as needed to get all of their nutrients. So cornmeal, soybean meal, and a lot of byproducts we feed and help recycle from other industries.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so wait. So cows are actually taking maybe food that would be like left over or not good for humans, and we're able to incorporate that into their diet?
Yes, 100%.
Oh wow. Okay, so what would happen to that food otherwise? Would it end up in the landfill?
It would.
Wow, I mean, superpowers, yes, for cows if they are recycling food that otherwise would end up in a landfill. Now, we are seeing some crazy contraption on the screen. What in the world does this thing do?
Yeah. So this is Juno. It's a robotic feed pusher. So once an hour, this goes down through the alley and it pushes the feed closer to the cows. Because when they're eating those 120 pounds, they tend to push the feed out of their reach. So this goes through and pushes it closer to them. And cows like habit. So as soon as they hear Juno come on, they usually get up and come over because they know the food's about to be back.
Okay, 24/7 buffet, including with refilling the buffet all the way right up to these cows. That is a pretty great life, I have to admit. That sounds pretty darn nice to have somebody pushing my buffet
I would
back
enjoy
up.
that too.
Right? I think that'd be pretty great. Now, we mentioned obviously how much they're eating, and because of that, I'm sure they spend a lot of time eating. But how does a cow spend the rest of her day? Like, what does her day look like?
Yeah, so over half of her day, she's actually laying down resting. So about 12 to 14 hours of her day, she's sleeping or laying down.
Oh, okay. So they need to spend a lot of time relaxing, digesting,
Yeah.
doing all that to produce that good milk. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So we had a question coming from one of our students, of course, which is, do you have any other robots on the farm besides your feed pushers?
Yes, we do. At that heifer barn 2 miles up the road, we have a robotic manure vacuum, actually. So it goes in this where the cows are. There's an alley that has all the poop, and it goes through and it kind of squeegees and sucks up the manure and dumps it in like a pit that goes out to our manure pit. So it cleans the manure like a vacuum.
Okay, wait. So this is like a robotic vacuum, like an iRobot or whatever.
Yeah,
they're out
like a
there.
Roomba.
Like a Roomba. Oh my god. Well,
Yes.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, now it looks like we have transitioned outside. We're seeing actually where your feed is stored, right? Is that what we're looking at?
Yep.
Okay, so what is this? This is kind of crazy. What are all those tires?
So those are called the bunks, and there's quite a few different bunks, and each one has a different type of feed. And we have 3,500 acres on the farm that we use to grow the food for the cows. So we do corn silage, alfalfa, and grass. And so we grow the crops, we harvest it, we truck it over here, and they dump it down. And in a few minutes, you're going to see a really big tractor. And we basically have to preserve the food because we live way up north. We can't grow crops all year round. So we have to grow enough crops in the summer to feed the cows all year long.
Got it. Okay, so you're able to preserve the feed through this process.
Yes.
It's got all that nutrient goodness that cows need throughout the year.
Yeah.
Okay, that is pretty darn cool. And now you mentioned obviously that you're growing over 3,000 acres. What percentage of the cow's diet is that? So like how much of the feed as a percent do you grow right there on the farm versus what you might buy?
Yep. So we're lucky that not only do we grow all of our own forages, we have a grain system and we can grow all of our own soybean meal and cornmeal. So I would say like 70% of our diet is raised on our farm, and we have to purchase in some minerals and grains.
Got it. Got it. Very cool. Okay. Students, I think you guys are ready for your first quiz. So we're going to have a quiz about all the things you need to know about cows. You guys take your quiz. We will be here and heading over to the next stop on our tour, which will be the milking parlor where the magic happens. So we'll catch you guys back after your quiz. Okay, students, I know that you just did completely awesome. Ace that quiz, 100%. Let's check out the answers. Okay, now it's time. I think we're ready to head over to the milking parlor. So, looks like we're flying on in. Okay, Patty, I know we've got the holidays coming up. Maybe let's share with the students probably the most important part. Where does your milk actually end up? Where might the students see it on the grocery store?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are part of Dairy Farmers of America Co-op, and we ship our milk to a plant in Adams, New York, a little under 2 hours south of us. And that makes a variety of cheeses, like cheese string.
Oh, okay, very cool. So students, you might see Patty's milk actually out there in the wild, in the grocery stores as string cheese or maybe some other cheese product. Totally cool. We love it. All of our students joining us today are from New York, so they definitely might run into it. Now, this looks a little complicated. I can't lie. This looks like there's a lot of technology going on, Patty. So what am I seeing right now?
Yep. So this is our parlor. And as you can see above, there's computer panels, and below we have machines. There's a lot of technology and a lot of computer stuff going on here. This is called a parallel parlor. And on both sides of the parlor, we can milk 22 cows at the same time or 44 at the same time.
Wow. Okay. So 22 on one side, 22 on the other, 44 all at once. Now, remember, students, back to what we said, Patty's got over 1,400 cows to be milked every day. So you could probably do some math if you really wanted to figure out how many times that parlor has to go around, right? If we took our 1,400 divided by our 44. Now, Patty, are you milking these cows once a day, twice a day?
Yep. So we are actually milking 3 times a day.
Yeah. 3 times every day.
Yeah.
Okay, now that seems like to get all that done, that would take all day.
It does. Each shift takes about 7 hours. And then in between each milking, we shut the parlor down. The cows are gone. We hose it all off. We hook the machines up and run sanitizing fluid through it to clean it.
Oh, okay. Well, wait. Each shift is 7 hours. So holy moly, wait, the cow's spending all day being milked?
Oh, no, not at all. So what you're seeing here is our milking procedure. So there's a few steps that have to be done before the milking machine goes on. And then once it's on, it only takes 5 minutes to get the milk out. So they're only standing here about 7 minutes 3 times a day.
Oh, okay. So 20, 30 minutes of work.
Yeah,
each
pretty
day.
easy.
Could you imagine students only having to go to school for 30 minutes a day? That would be crazy. Okay, well, sounds like that's a pretty good gig for them then as far as a job goes. And it looks like they're getting a nice towel service here. So what are we doing here? What's the step in the process?
Yes. So before the machine goes on, we do something called a pre-dip, and it's an iodine-based, kind of like a sanitizer. It helps kill any bacteria that might be on there and really clean it really well. And then they're going to wipe it off. And each cow gets their own individual cloth. We don't want to transfer any bacteria from cow to cow. And then they're also going to take a few squirts out of each teat to check the milk to make sure that it looks healthy and normal.
Got it. Got it. You guys must do a lot of towel laundry.
Yes, we have giant industrial washers and dryers.
Okay, that would make sense. That would make sense. Now, so let's say, I know you showed Patty that he's going to do a little bit of milking by hand maybe here in a minute.
Yes.
But here's my question. You said it was to check for anything maybe different, abnormal. What happens if you see something that maybe concerns you, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't look right.
So if we see anything that might look like an infection, we're going to immediately separate that cow, and that milk will not go where the rest of the milk goes. On our farm, we have a second parlor that's much smaller, and any cows that might need to be treated with medicine will get milked there.
Okay, got it. So that milk's not making it into the system. It never gets shipped. We would never see anything like that in the grocery store. Got it. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, these cows are just real relaxed putting these machines on, but how in the world did those stay on?
Yeah, so they're really comfortable. They really like getting milked. And so these machines are attached, and it's kind of like a mini, like it's a vacuum, but it's very light suction, and it's gentle, and it kind of squeezes the teat to mimic how the calf would nurse from the mother, and it's very gentle and comfortable.
Got it. Okay. All right. That makes a lot of sense. Now, in addition to obviously this whole routine that these that your employees are working through, I guess we better ask the big question. How much milk is actually coming from each cow?
Yeah. So on average, every day a cow makes about 80 to 85 pounds.
80 to 85 pounds of milk each and every day. Okay, students, more math for you. Remember, we talked about that. 85 pounds a day, maybe 365 days a year. You would get how much milk a cow is making in a year, of course. And then how much is on the farm? We'd have to multiply that back by the 1,400 cows that Patty has on the farm every day. But, Patty, for our students, I'm having a hard time. Like, how much is 80 to 90 pounds? I mean, I kind of know what I weigh in relation to my body, but like, I don't know how much milk that is.
So when I go to the grocery store, I buy a gallon of milk, and a gallon of milk is 8.6 pounds. So it's about 10 gallons every day.
Okay, students. So you can imagine each cow, imagine 10-gallon jugs on the table. That's how much milk they're making every day. Definitely a lot of really great quality milk. That is absolutely amazing, first of all. Now we're seeing the other side of the cows come on right in. Oh, and we're even seeing some machines come off. What's happening there?
Yeah, so a lot of technology involved inside of those milking machines. There are sensors that can detect the milk flow. So when the milk is almost done coming out, there'll be less. And so the machine can detect that and it will pull itself off automatically.
Wow, that's pretty high tech there. That's very cool. And we're even able to see some of that milk flow right through. So what happens, Patty, as the milk, let's say milk is going through the pipeline. We see all this technology up here. Is this reading how much milk each cow makes?
So those numbers there, that's the cow ID number that you saw on their ear tag.
Oh, okay.
And it's how many pounds are being made. And that goes to our computer system, and we keep track of that.
Yeah.
And we can make decisions. If a cow is making less milk than normal, we might think something's going on and maybe she's not feeling well, and we can take care of her better.
Oh, got it. Okay, very cool. So, man, all kinds of technology going on here. Now, another question that I had, of course, is when the cows are milked, I don't know, students, maybe it's just me. I enjoy my glass of milk ice cold. I'm guessing, though, that the milk is not automatically cold when it leaves the cow.
No, it comes out at their body temperature, so it's about 100 degrees when it comes out. And we're able to chill that down to about 35 degrees in under a minute.
Wow, that's super speedy. Now it looks like we're seeing the end of the milking process. And this is another hand sanitizer kind of thing?
Yeah, so it's another dip. It's called the post dip. And it also has what kills the bacteria, but it also has some moisturizer like lotion in it to help keep the teeth soft and comfortable.
Got it. Okay, make sure no one's hands or teeth get crackly or anything.
We don't want dry, cracked skin.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So you mentioned to us before that you're able to chill that milk really, really quickly.
Yes.
I bet maybe, does that use a lot of energy? How does that work?
It does use a lot of energy and a lot of water. So our first, there's 2 steps to get it that cool. One is a plate cooler, which pulls water out of the ground. And water comes out about 55 degrees.
Yeah.
Water runs on one side, milk runs on the other, and it cools it down. We do recycle that water, so we're able to use it more than once on the farm. And then the second stop is it goes through a chiller, which then brings it from 55 degrees down to about 34, 35. Okay. And that happens under a minute.
Wow. Super duper speedy that gets right off and away. Now, another question I have as we see the last of these cows being milked here. Oh, I think we're even seeing that plate chiller. Oh, look at that. There we go. We're headed right over to the plate chiller. Now, my next question, of course, is you mentioned how quickly these cows milk out, how quickly we get it cooled. Well, how quickly does it make it to the grocery store then?
Yeah, so right after it's cooled down, after this plate cooler, it gets put directly onto a truck, which you're going to see in just a second.
Okay.
And we take a truckload down to the plant every 18 hours, and it'll be to the grocery store within 48 hours.
Wow. Okay, so you guys actually truck all of your own milk.
Yes.
That is pretty darn cool. And then how much milk is on one of those trucks?
I think 70,000 pounds.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And that would make a lot of sense. Okay, so students, you might see some of those trucks on the road by your house. You can know they've got milk in them headed to the processing plant. But it is time, students, for you to do another quiz. You head over to your quiz, and we're going to meet you right back at the calf section where we will see the most adorable members of the farm. So we will catch you right back after your quiz. absolutely nailed this quiz because we talked about all these things. I know you were paying attention, and it is time to head off and over to the calf barn. So we are now flying in and over to check out where all of the calves are raised. So, Patty, tell me a little bit about what we're seeing here.
Yeah, so this is our calf barn. So when a cow has your calf, we have a special maternity ward up in the big barn, and they spend a day or two there, and then they're brought to this barn, and they all have their own individual stall, as you can see here. And that allows us to take a little bit better care of them. We can individually see how much they're drinking. We can try to stop the spread of diseases between calves, and it just allows us to take better individual care.
Okay, got it. And it looks like this barn has some of the same technology we might have seen in the cow barn, right? We see some fans running.
Yes.
Now, are calves like cows? Do they want it cooler? What type of environment do we want to create for them?
Yeah, so they can tolerate the cold a little bit. They want to be a little bit warmer than cows, but you see those tubes up there? Those are bringing fresh air in all the time. They have holes in them that direct the fresh air down. Air quality is the most important thing when raising calves and keeping them dry and clean.
Got it. Okay. So very much so we want to keep them free of any type of maybe respiratory infection. So students, when you go back to school and maybe everybody shares kind of the common cold, we don't want that.
We don't want that.
We don't want that at all. Got it. Now, of course, how many calves are born on the farm each day?
Yeah, we average about 4 to 5 calves every day.
4 to 5 calves every day. Okay. Now, and correct me if I'm wrong, Patty, but I do believe each cow, in order to produce milk, has to have a calf, correct?
That is correct.
Now, how many calves would a cow have maybe in her lifetime, or how often can she have a calf?
So a cow will have her first calf when she's 2 years old.
Okay.
And then she'll have one calf every year after that. So one calf a year. And they'll usually have 6 to 8 calves in their lifetime on our farm.
Got it. Okay. Well, I guess another great question I got to ask then is how old do these cows live to be?
Yeah, I would say probably, 13 to 15 years on our farm. We probably average 10 and 11 as the oldest cow.
Got it. And it looks like we're seeing these little cuties get their first meal of the day. So what do we feed calves?
Yeah, so this is our milk taxi. So on our farm, we feed pasteurized whole milk. And so it's put into this cart here, and he drives it down, and we're feeding them whole milk.
Oh, okay. Now, how much whole milk are they?
Anywhere from 8 to 12 quarts.
8 to 12 quarts of milk. Okay, that's a lot. But remind me again, Patty, how big are these calves?
Yep. So a calf is born around 80 to 90 pounds. And our goal is to feed them milk for about 2 months and try to get them to double that weight.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so students, I hope you caught all that. 80 to 90 pounds when they're born. That is a big baby. Plus, we want them to double their weight in the first 60 days or grow about 2 pounds a day.
2 pounds a day.
Could you imagine students 2 pounds every day? That's a lot. Those are fast growing calves. But it sounds like you're able to do that by feeding them that milk. Now, you said a word that I want to make sure we talk about, which is pasteurized. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's when we heat the milk up to a high temperature for a certain amount of time, and that helps kill any bacteria or microorganisms in there to make it safe and healthy.
Got it. Okay, so that just prevents make sure, from handling or maybe stuff like that, that everything's good and it will keep the calves healthy as well.
Yes.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Now, you mentioned that 60-day mark. Is that when they get to kind of be with other calves or start doing group interaction?
Yes, so we keep them in these individual stalls for the first 60 days. And then on the other side of the calf barn, we have a series of pens. And there's about 10 to 15 calves in each pen. That's to get them used to socializing and how to interact with other cows and how to learn to lay down. And then as they get older, they'll be in group pens. So it trains them to be in a group.
Oh, okay. Very cool. So basically they kind of go almost like school, right? They move along with their age group through different parts of the barn. Okay, that's pretty cool. And then one of the questions we had actually coming from one of our students is, what do you do with your bull calves? So we had talked about, obviously, a cow has to have a calf in order to produce milk. So I'm assuming then the cows on your farm are all girls.
Yep, these are all females that we raise, and we do have bulls born on the farm, and we take care of them for a few days and make sure they have a good start. And then we actually sell them to other farmers that might raise them for beef and other things in our food system.
Got it. Okay. So that answers that question for us. Now, we're also seeing all of these calves have those fancy earrings going on. When do they actually get those ear tags?
On day one.
Day one. So they've got that identification right in there, sharing who they are, where they belong, all that good stuff.
Yes.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, we're seeing some of the grain that they get. We haven't talked about this yet. So when does this start getting introduced?
After a few days of being on milk, this will be started. They may not eat a lot of it at first, they'll just nibble on it. But as they get a little older, they'll start to eat more. And then we'll introduce silage and more of a forage when they're 60 to 80 days.
So why actually does their diet change? Like what's the reason for that?
So cows have 4 compartments in their stomach, and one of those compartments is a lot like ours, where it uses enzymes and acids. And when they're babies, that part of the stomach is bigger than in the adult cow. And where the magic happens is in the rumen. And as babies, that part is really small and not developed.
Okay.
But as they increase more and more forage in their diet, that's going to grow and expand so that when they're an adult, they can handle all of that forage that we saw earlier.
Got it. So when we say forages, Patty, what do we actually mean? So our students, maybe some students don't know that term. What is a forage?
So it's more of the fibrous. So it's the corn silage, the grass, it's the leafy part of the plant, whereas the grain is like the seed of the plant.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense. And it looks like some of our group ladies, they're getting a little extra treat here.
Sometimes we run out of individual stall space, so they're over here getting the last week of their milk as a group.
Got it. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, how basically we talked about it before too, right? It's going to take 24 months till they're an adult and having their own calf. So we see all these animals in here. What happens in between, right? Because maybe these animals are 2 or 3 months old.
Yeah.
What happens between 2 to 3 months and 24?
Yeah, so they go to a different facility 2 miles up the road, and their whole job in life is to just grow. So they get to eat a lot and sleep a lot and just grow, grow, grow.
Got it. Okay, very cool. Very cool. Now, I see we're seeing them get some nibbles of hay in there. So one of the other questions I know students love to ask is if every cow, I mean, we talked about them all having a number, but do they all get a name too, or just some of them?
Some of them get names. Yeah, we have a couple favorite pets in there that have names.
Gotcha. Okay, so but they mostly go by their number.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense. The other thing too, Patty, I know some of the students were curious about is all of these black and white, you told us earlier, these are Holsteins.
Yes.
Are all of their spots different? Are some like patterns the same? How does that work?
Some may look similar, but every cow has their own individual unique spots, just like we have unique fingerprints.
Wow, very cool. Okay, students, I think it's time for you to take one last quiz before we will meet you back after your quiz, before we say goodbye to Farmer Patty and thank her for giving us a tour today. So take your quiz and we will be right back. Okay, students, I'm pretty sure you got all those correct. Let's check out the answers. Perfect. All right. So you guys did a great job today. Thank you so much for joining us on our tour of Adon Farms with Farmer Patty. We're so grateful to have you with us today. Now, I know that the holidays are coming up and everyone is probably excited. I even saw a school out there might be excited for a snow day, of course. So we just hope you find ways to enjoy dairy during the holiday season and know that your milk comes from a good place. You have met one of the farmers live here. You've seen her farm live. If you want to see more farms, though, we do have free dairy lesson plans as well as over 30 other farm tours. And Patty, you can tell the students every farm is different,
Yes.
right? So if they watch another tour, it'll be totally different.
Definitely.
Absolutely. So be sure to check out some of those resources. And finally, of course, Patty, is there anything else you want to share with our students?
Just thank you for joining. I hope you learned something and just know that your milk comes from a good place.
Awesome. Okay, and I do have one last question for Patty here, which is what is your favorite dairy product to enjoy during the holidays?
I really like whipped cream on just about everything and ice cream.
Yeah, whipped cream on pie or on hot chocolate or yeah, man, so many opportunities. But we thank you guys for joining us today. Again, congratulations on winning the New York Thursdays program. We are so grateful that you participated, you watched and learned from some of our other younger farmers, and we hope you participate again next year. Thank you so much for joining us.